Every day, my daughter silently watches her husband's cruelty toward me, unaware that I've given a neighbor a small note that says, Thursday, 7 p.m., call the police. The lock on my door was installed just last week. My son-in-law, Julian, said it was to keep mother safe. But when my old fingers touch its cold metal surface, I don't feel safe. I feel like a prisoner. From the living room, his loud, hearty laughter rings out, echoing down the narrow hallway where I stand. The sound is foreign, as if from another world I no longer belong to. Interspersed with his laughter is the faint sound of Clara's, my daughter's, laughter. Her laughter is broken, incomplete, followed by a dry cough. She's still not well. They think a lock can imprison me, I think, my hands still on the cold metal. But they're wrong. It's not this lock that holds me captive. What holds me captive is my daughter's silence. Her silence when Julian installed this lock. Her silence when she sees the bowl of thin soup her husband brings me every day. That silence is colder than any lock. At exactly 6 o'clock, I hear the familiar footsteps of Leo, my grandson. The door to my room opens slightly, just a crack. I see him place a food tray on the floor, just outside the threshold. He doesn't dare to look at me. The gaze of this 12-year-old boy quickly scans the floor, the walls, anywhere but his grandmother's eyes. He hesitates for a moment, then uses the toe of his worn-out sneaker to gently push the tray into the room. A small act, but full of distance. I look at Leo. I don't blame him. In his averted eyes, I see Clara from many years ago, just as weak, just as vulnerable, just as torn between love and fear. He is just a child following his father's orders. I give him a slight nod. A nod to let him know I see him, that I accept his existence, not this act. The boy quickly turns and closes the door. I look down at the tray. On it is only a bowl of pale, watery soup. A few tiny carrot shreds float on the surface. The steam from the soup is faint and weak, quickly dissolving into the cold air of the room, like the last bit of hope left in me. The next morning, I don't see Bruno. My old cat, my silent companion for the last 15 years, hasn't come to curl up at the foot of my bed, as he always does. A sense of unease creeps into my heart. Bruno? I call out, my voice weak. Bruno, where are you? I start to search. I look under the bed, behind the curtains. I call his name hopelessly, my voice lost in the silent room. Finally, I open the wardrobe door, where he often snuggles into Arthur's old sweater. Inside, it's empty. Only a few ginger cat hairs are left on the worn-out wool. My heart clenches. Just then, I hear a sound. Julian is standing there, leaning against the doorframe, his arms crossed. He doesn't say anything at first. He just stands there watching me search, a mocking smirk on his lips. Where is Bruno? My voice is hoarse, almost a whisper. In a better place, mother, he says. The way he emphasizes the word mother is so sarcastic. A place where he doesn't have to live with a person who is about to forget her own name. I stop searching. All my movements cease. I slowly straighten up. The panic and pain inside me suddenly vanish, replaced by a frightening stillness. I turn around, looking straight into my son-in-law's eyes, without blinking. He has made a fatal mistake. A cold voice echoes in my head. He thinks he has taken away my last comfort. But no, he has just given me what I needed most. A reason to fight. A reason to turn pain into a weapon. Since Bruno disappeared, a change has taken place within me. The helplessness and simmering pain have crystallized into a sharp focus. I no longer pace restlessly in the room. Instead, I sit still by the window, motionless as a statue, my back straight, my hands neatly placed on my lap. But my eyes are not still. My eyes have become my weapon. From the bedroom window, I can observe the entire garden and Arthur's old workshop, and I watch Julian. I monitor his every move, noting and analyzing. He often walks around the workshop, his eyes searching, like a beast sniffing around a trap it doesn't know how to open. He kicks a stone on the path, frustration and impatience clearly etched on his face. He's looking for something he believes my husband left behind. He's in a hurry, I think. A person in a hurry will always make mistakes. He thinks he's hunting a frail old prey. He doesn't know the prey is setting a net. My job is to wait. Wait and prepare a sturdy net for when he falls. When the afternoon shadows lengthen, I pull Arthur's old oak box from under the bed. The familiar scent of wood and tobacco rises, bringing with it a flood of memories. A hazy image appears in my mind. Arthur is sitting by the fireplace, a small carving knife in his hand, carefully carving the shape of an oak leaf onto the lid of this box. He looks up at me and smiles. "Everything has a key, Alara," he says, his voice deep and warm. "Sometimes it's metal, and sometimes it's a memory." A memory. That's the key. I open the lid of the box. My hand glides over the familiar items inside. His old tobacco pipe, his reading glasses with a broken side, a few yellowed black and white photos. I'm not searching frantically. I'm listening to what the memories are whispering to me. My hand stops at a small book with a worn leather cover titled Botany of Provence. Arthur loved plants, especially the ancient oak tree in our garden. I pick up the book. It feels a little heavier than usual. I turn through the pages, scanning the detailed illustrations. And then, I open to the right page, the one about the oak tree. A small metal object falls from between the pages, landing in my palm. It's a small brass key with a greenish patina from time. On the head of the key is a tiny carved oak leaf. It fits perfectly in my hand, strangely warm, as if it has been waiting there for me all this time. I have the key. Now I just have to find the lock. My chance comes the next day. Julian has to go to town for some important business of his. Before he leaves, he orders Leo to take me out to the garden for some fresh air. In reality, he wants the boy to watch me, turning my own grandson into my jailer. When Leo opens the brass lock, the metal creaks. I step outside, feeling the sunlight for the first time in many days. I deliberately walk slower than usual, one hand on the rough stone wall. I fake a few dry, weak coughs. Every step I take is a calculation. I know that Mrs. Colette, my kind neighbor, has a habit of gardening at this exact time. As expected, as we pass the low wooden fence separating our two gardens, I see her diligently pruning the rose bushes. My heart pounds. This is the moment. Leo, perhaps tired of walking so slowly, is distracted, watching a brilliant yellow butterfly fluttering nearby. In that precise moment, I suddenly stumble, my knees giving way. I don't fall completely, but slowly sink down onto the damp grass, right next to the fence. "Grandma!" Leo cries out in a panic, rushing over. Mrs. Colette also hears the commotion. She drops her pruning shears and hurries over. "Mrs. Alara, are you all right?" I'm fine," I gasp, using the fence post as a support to stand up. And in that brief moment, with Leo flustered on the other side trying to support my shoulder, my other hand and Mrs. Colette's hand touch through the gap in the fence. My palm presses against hers, slipping a small, folded piece of paper into it. I don't just slip her the paper. I tightly grip her rough, calloused, gardening hand for a second. A handshake containing all the unspoken urgency and desperation I can't express. Our eyes meet. Mrs. Colette, with the understanding of a longtime friend, responds with a light but firm squeeze. In her eyes, I see not only compassion, but also determination, an unspoken promise. She understands. Leo quickly helps me up. "Are you hurt, Grandma?" he asks anxiously, his face pale with fear. I look at my grandson. For the first time in weeks, I smile at him. A real, genuine smile. "No, my dear," I say, my voice no longer weak, but clear and full of life. "I've never felt better." Leo looks at me in surprise. He doesn't understand the sudden change. He doesn't know that a thin thread of hope has just been reconnected, and my plan has officially begun. That evening, I stand in front of the large mirror in my bedroom. The pale yellow light shines on my face, but the person in the mirror isn't me. It's a weak, confused old woman. I intentionally mess up my gray hair. I loosen the top button of my blouse, letting the collar hang crooked. I practice. I practice a vacant look, staring at a fixed point in the air. I practice the trembling of my lips, mumbling meaningless words. I'm putting on the cloak of senility, like a stage actor preparing for the most important role of their life. Julian wants me to be senile. Tonight, I will show him exactly that. From the living room, the old grandfather clock strikes 7. 7 solemn chimes ring out, a dull, deep sound. After that, only the regular ticking remains. Tick-tock, tick-tock, like the heartbeat of a plan being executed, like a ticking time bomb counting down. Everything is ready. The stage is set. It's time for the curtain to fall on their play, and for the curtain to rise on mine. I go down to the kitchen and grab a full bucket of water. I walk right in front of the cellar door, where Julian keeps his most precious wine barrels. This is the stage. I don't just simply spill the bucket of water. I intentionally toss it hard, so the water splashes all over the walls, overflowing onto the floor, creating the most chaotic scene possible. The cold water soaks into the hem of my dress and my socks, but I don't feel a thing. And then, I start to scream. My screams are not just screams. They are a carefully orchestrated symphony of panic. I shriek, my voice breaking, making guttural sounds. I call for Julian. I call for Clara. I even call for Arthur, my late husband, like a person completely insane, no longer able to distinguish reality. Just as I predict, Julian rushes out from the living room, followed by Clara. His face is distorted, not from worry for me, but from pure fear at the thought of his expensive wine bottles soaking in water. "You crazy old woman," he roars. He dashes past me, not sparing me a glance, only focused on the cellar door. He and Clara hurriedly rush down, their footsteps thudding on the wooden stairs. As their shadows disappear behind the cellar door, I stand up straight. The look of panic and confusion vanishes instantly, replaced by a cold, determined expression. I turn my back on the chaos I've created. I don't go back to my room. I step outside, into the darkness of the garden, where the door to Arthur's workshop awaits. I am the one who created this storm. And now, I am the one controlling it. I insert the small brass key into the workshop lock. It fits perfectly. The heavy wooden door creaks open. As I step inside, all the chaotic sounds from the house seem to fall silent. There is only the soft sound of wind slipping through the cracks in the planks and a familiar scent that envelops me. The smell of oak, pine oil, and the dust of time. I don't rush. I stand still for a moment, letting my eyes adjust to the darkness. This is Arthur's kingdom. Every item, every tool is in the exact spot he left it. I step inside and take a deep breath. I touch a half-finished object on the workbench, a wooden bird with outstretched wings. Memories of Arthur flood back, but this time, not with sadness. It's a feeling of continuity, as if he is still here, waiting for me to finish my part. I'm not searching aimlessly. I know exactly where I need to go. I walk to the sturdy workbench made from an oak trunk that Arthur built himself. I kneel down and look at one of the 4 legs. There is a decorative carving of an oak leaf, identical to the one on the key. I take a small chisel from Arthur's set of tools. I use it skillfully, without any hesitation. I've seen him do this 100 times. I gently pry at the edge of the oak leaf. A small click sounds. The oak leaf isn't a decoration. It's the lid of a secret compartment. When I open the secret compartment, a cool, dry breeze wafts out. Inside, neatly placed, is a small oak box. The box is completely free of dust, which shows it has been extremely well preserved. I know that what Julian is frantically looking for, what he thinks is gold or cash, is not in here. What is here is far more precious. I carefully place the wooden box on the workbench, under the warm yellow light. I open it respectfully, almost holding my breath. Inside there is no gold, no deeds, none of the things Julian is frantically searching for. Inside is a neat stack of old stamp albums. I pick up the top album. Its leather cover is worn, but the stamps inside are perfectly preserved. Each stamp is a miniature work of art, a window into another world. There is a stamp with a sailboat crossing the ocean. There is a stamp with an astronomer looking up at a starry sky. They don't glitter like gold, but they contain an entire world of adventure, history, and dreams. Clipped inside the first album is a letter. I immediately recognize Arthur's handwriting. As I read the words, His warm voice seems to echo in my ears. My dearest Alara, his voice seems to whisper, I haven't left you money, because money can be stolen. I have left you stories, journeys. This collection is my life's work. It is a legacy of curiosity and honor. Give it to Leo when he is ready, so he knows that a person's greatest value is not in what they own, but in what they discover. A tear rolls down my cheek, but it is not a tear of sadness. I smile. Julian was wrong. He's looking for a material treasure, but the real treasure Arthur left behind, the one he will never be able to understand, is here. I have found my husband's legacy, and it is greater, more meaningful than anything I could have imagined. The sacred silence in the workshop is suddenly shattered. I hear footsteps thudding on the ground outside, getting closer and closer. The workshop door is pushed open, slamming hard against the wooden wall. Julian stands there, breathing heavily. He is no longer the polite son-in-law with a smug smile. His shirt is disheveled, stained with mud from the cellar. His hair is a mess, and in his eyes is the madness of a losing gambler who has bet everything on the final hand. Where is it? He roars, his eyes scanning the room, looking for a safe, a treasure chest, anything shiny. Where did you hide it? Right behind Julian, Leo appears. The boy stands in the doorway, soaked and trembling, probably from the cold water in the cellar, but he doesn't say anything. He doesn't run to his father, nor does he run to me. He just stands there, silently. His clear eyes stare at his father, not with fear, but with a profound disappointment. He has witnessed everything, the madness for money, the cruelty toward his grandmother. His silence now is more terrifying than any accusation. He has become a witness, a silent judge at his father's own trial. Julian moves toward me, his steps heavy on the dusty wooden floor. His eyes are fixed on the oak box in my hands, like a hungry beast looking at its only prey. Give it to me, he roars, his voice hoarse. I don't take a step back. I stand still, clutching the box to my chest like a final shield. But I'm not looking at him. My gaze is focused on only one person. Leo, my grandson, the boy trembling in the doorway. Leo, I say, my voice calm but full of weight, echoing in the silent space of the workshop. In this box is the whole world your grandfather wanted you to see. A world of adventure, history, and honor. I pause, glancing quickly at Julian, who is growing impatient, his hands clenched. And your father's world. You've already seen that. I look back into my grandson's clear eyes, which are tearful but no longer fearful. You choose. It is not a question. It is an empowerment. I am placing the entire future, the entire legacy, and the soul of this family into the hands of a 12-year-old boy. Leo doesn't cry or scream. With a courage I've never seen before, he slowly takes a step forward. He doesn't go to me for protection. He stands right between Julian and me, forming a fragile but impenetrable wall. He raises his head, looking straight into his father's eyes. And then he shakes his head, a slow, firm shake of the head, containing all his disappointment and rejection. No, Dad. His young voice rings out, clear and resolute. Enough is enough. Julian freezes, as if hit by an invisible punch. He stares at his son, the child he has always considered a tool, a faint presence. But now, in his eyes, he sees not fear, but judgment. Then he looks at me. He finally realizes that the wall he cannot break through is not the old woman he scorns, but his own son's choice. The madness in his eyes vanishes, giving way to a soulless emptiness. He slowly takes a step back, and another, and then collapses onto the dirty floor, defeated, completely. A few weeks later, when spring has truly returned, Leo and I sit under the old oak tree in the garden. The house is now quiet. Julian and Clara have left, leaving a void, but it is a necessary void for new things to take root. I open the oak box and place it on the grass between us. This is your grandfather's legacy, I say softly. Leo looks at the albums, his eyes lighting up with curiosity. But I don't give him the entire collection. Instead, I carefully take a single stamp from the first page. It is small, depicting an old sailboat, its colors faded with time. This is the first stamp your grandfather collected, I say. When he was about your age. This is where all journeys begin. Leo carefully takes the stamp in both hands, as if holding a fragile treasure. He looks at it intently, then looks up at me. For the first time in a long time, a real, genuine smile spreads across his lips. I smile back, feeling a sense of peace spreading. They tried to bury me alive in that room, I think, but they forgot that I am a seed, and the strongest seeds are the ones that rise from the darkness on their own. I look at Leo, who is still engrossed in admiring the stamp, admiring the starting point of his own journey. This house and this boy are my seedlings, and we will grow together.